Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Stayntouch Product Enhancements, version 5.96, Auto Charge Routed Deposits, Enhanced Guest Profile Merging, and more, presented by Stayntouch Implementation Consultant, Natasha Leck. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at Stayntouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the Stayntouch PMS version 5.96 product release. In this webinar, we will cover the following enhancements: merge guest cards with active reservations, unified nationality export for Austria and Germany, clickable groups in the Manager Daily Report, cancellation time added to the cancellation and no-show report, inclusion of external reference numbers in the Onyx commissions export, restriction on removing groups from past reservations. For allowances, we now restrict moving an overage charge to another reservation. Additionally, we'll go over our new auto charge routed deposits functionality, which is in pilot, as well as upgraded credit card transaction screen, the change to the drive folder name, Swiss registration card requirements, the option to view the digital registration card after signature completion and check-in. Please note digital registration cards are still in pilot as well. And then we'll also go over multi-property enhancements, some updates to Rate Tiger CRS, including support for hierarchy restrictions, and then finally Connect API enhancements. We'll have a short Q&A at the end of the presentation, and feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we'll answer them in the order they're received at the end. And that's all I have for now. Natasha, I'll pass it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin. Let me share my screen. All right, so let's dive right in. The first option is merging guest cards with active reservations. So in my arrivals list, I have an active reservation, as you can see here, on Emma with a 2 behind it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to merge Emma's guest cards. So when I go into the menu under front desk, I go into my guests and I go to find the cards that I want to merge. So when I search, I can see here that I have multiple, and what I actually want is to use this one over here that has already previously stayed with us. So that is going to be my primary card. And here we can see the guest card that we have on that active reservation. And what we can do now is we can merge all of these together, even though there's an active reservation on this one, making this one the primary. So when I verify this merge and I merge these cards, we now only have this one here. And the great thing is now that on those active reservations, we can see here on our arrivals that this reservation is updated to the new primary guest card. The second topic is in regards to the residence country exports. So to make sure that the Austrian resident country export can be used, we have renamed this to the country residence export. So under the menu and reports, when you go to schedule the report, and let me just create a new schedule. Oh, we're on reports. Let's go to exports instead. So when I now search, I can find the country residence exports, and the file itself is also renamed to say country residence export instead of Austria or Germany. The next topic is for the Manager Daily Report. So when I go into the menu reports and I go to a new report, I can find my Manager Daily Report. And when I run this, go to my inbox, just refresh that. We can then see at the bottom of the report, when we have a group, that this group is now clickable. So when I click on the name, it moves me into the group. And at the top here, we can see that I can now move back into my report, and that will take me back into the report where I was looking already. So the clickable option, that is the release here. Now, there's a new option for the cancellation report that will display the time the reservation was canceled. So let me just cancel my reservation that I have in here. Cancel that right over there. And now let's run that cancellation report. So again, from the menu, reports, new report, we're going to find the cancellation report, make sure that it has the right date range. And then when I run the report, let me just refresh that as well. We can see on the left side that the time is included now here for when the reservation was canceled. When that Onyx integration is enabled for your property, the Onyx commission export now includes external reference number from the reservation. To have a look at this, again, as I said, Onyx does need to be enabled from the menu. Under your financials, I'm going to have a look at our commissions, and here we can find my booking.com travel agent. So just to show you, I have a few reservations here on booking.com, and we can see that this is my normal reservation number. And just to show you in the reservation itself, under my external references, we can find here that additional external or the external reference number, basically. So this data will now populate in the secondary confirmation field for Onyx. So the way that we can view this, when I go back into my commissions, I can select the travel agents that I want to have on my report. And when I click on export, again, if Onyx is enabled for you, we can see that here. Add your email address. Now, for the purpose of the demo, I have already emailed this to myself. So what we can see here, obviously this might already only make sense if to Onyx, but I just want to show it that this is then that actual confirmation email in the PMS. And here we can see that external reference number display. All right, on to the next topic. This is going to be in terms of allowances. So we know that we have the option for overage allowance, and that overage allowance will be posted onto a reservation to make sure that the customer pays for that. Now, we have made it so that when that overage is posted on a reservation, you can see here that it is not possible. Let me just show the allowances first so that you can see we have an allowance that was posted of $50 in total, and we have an overage here of 30. That overage was posted on the bill. Now it is not possible to move that overage to another reservation. This ensures overage transactions remain tied to the original reservation where they were incurred. So you can see here, I don't have the option to select this overage. And if I do try to select all and move, you will see a pop-up that shows overage charge cannot be routed to another bill or a guest, meaning this is where the charge is incurred and this is where it needs to be paid. All right, now going into an exciting new feature. As I said, it is new and this is currently still in pilot. However, let's have a sneak peek at this great functionality. So this new functionality is going to help you collect deposits for all routed bills using virtual credit cards on the day of arrival. So first, to activate this feature, we're going to move into settings. So menu, settings, and settings again. And then under hotel and staff, we are going to find our settings and parameters. Here we already have our option to collect normal deposits during end of day. Those are based on deposit rules. And here we can find the deposit for routed bills with auto charge flag. Now these are independent of each other. So you don't have to collect both deposit as well as deposit for routed bills. It is up to you. But to enable this feature, the collect deposit for routed bills with auto charge flag needs to be on, and similar to normal deposit collection, you can also set this to be done at 2 additional times during the day. Here it says auto charge flag. So what does auto charge flag mean? Let's have a look at the actual functionality. So let me just check to make sure that I told you everything that we needed to know. Perfect. So now when this is activated, let's find that auto charge flag. We're going to go into the menu, and under revenue management, we're going to find our company and TA cards. And I'm going to stay with my booking.com example from before. So we know already from previous releases that our virtual credit cards can now be seen on the reservation. They will be marked as virtual. And it is possible to set up virtual credit card routing with the name of the virtual credit card on a travel agent or company card. So when I click on billing info, I have an example here of that virtual card. And obviously this can depend on your property, and this virtual card can be set up for a number of different travel agents. This is just one that I have here as an example. With that toggle in settings enabled, this new feature is going to appear here, auto charge on day of arrival. What this means is that the room charges together with the virtual credit card will be routed to bill number 2 as expected functionality. And when this would be toggled on the day of arrival of the reservation, the system will auto charge the virtual credit card for whatever charges we have routed. So in this case, room charges would be charged on the virtual card on the day of arrival. Now, this feature is only available for companies or TA cards using virtual credit cards. This is not available for other payment methods. So as I said, just for virtual credit cards. Now, there is an additional feature that comes with this, which is going to be from bill routing. So when I go into a reservation, and let's have a look at one of my arrivals for today. I have a reservation here that has a company associated. Now, it is possible to set up routing on a reservation when enabling also auto charge on day of arrival for a credit card. But that is only possible from the Stay card. So we cannot set that up automatically like with virtual credit cards. So when I go to my bill and charges and I click on bill routing so that I can add my route manually, I'm going to add the route. And I've already added the company here, but you can search for a company or travel agent that you want to associate with the reservation. Then I'm going to decide what I want to route, and then I'm going to add the payment method. So I'm going to add my credit card here. And once I've added the card, we can see that I now also get the option for auto charge on day of arrival. And then I can save that route. So as I said, for virtual credit cards, we can set up the auto deposit on day of arrival automatically, and we will recognize the virtual credit card and charge according to the routing instructions. If you want to do this for a credit card, that would need to be manually added to a bill, like I've just shown you here. All right, following up on that auto charging, in the menu under financials, we have our auto charge screen. And on here, we have added a new filter, which is called the routed deposit reservations. So this will be able to help you track reservations that were auto collected through those routing instructions. So we can find that here. All right, moving into a little bit more information on financials. I wanted to show you that the transaction screen has been updated, and we can see this in the menu under financials and transactions. Now I am just going to move to a date where I know that we have some transactions so that I'm able to show you what this is going to look like. There we go. So here we can see what this will look like. We can see authorized, settled, and refund. We can see the account holder name. We can see the reservation. And here again, we can also see where in the cycle this payment process is. And I'm also able to click on the reservation number. So when I click on the reservation number, this will take me to the reservation. Then I can move back into transactions and we can see the screen here. We can search for transactions here at the top, as you can see, You can filter, just gonna move my zoom a little bit. You can search for the payment method, or you can filter on a certain status if you're looking for something specific. As I said, you can click through the reservations and it gives a great and clear overview of all the different stages. So the authorization, settlement, and the refunded if applicable. All right. So a little update on file attachment. So when you have a Google Drive enabled for your property and you're working with file attachment, this is now saving on your Google Drive with a hotel code, with your hotel code, of course, plus the confirmation number on that Google Drive. So this used to be an internal ID. This has now been changed to confirmation number for clearer visibility for the customer. Don't have an example to show you, but I just wanted to highlight it here as well. Then we also have made some updates on the Swiss registration card. This layout has been updated to meet the compliance requirements. This is a reg card that needs to be enabled by support, and once enabled, no other template can be selected. So if this is something that your property is looking to use, please reach out to support. Do be mindful of that. Staying on the topic of registration cards. So for the new digital registration card functionality, it is now possible once a customer has checked in, and of course the property is using the new digital registration card functionality, the reg card can be viewed on the bill and charges screen. So where I can find my reg card button here, if I click there, I have the option to open my digital reg card. And when I click on that, I can see exactly what it is that was filled in. And all of these buttons at the moment, or all of these spots, are uneditable. All right, moving into the next topic of multi-property. For multi-property, when you have multi-property configuration enabled, it is now possible to configure actions as well on multi-property level. So under configuration and reservations, same as in the normal property, we are able to create actions that can be system defined already. So we'll create the template from here and we can fill in the text. This can be something like, for example, so maybe something that you always do with the front desk is putting a GM card in the room. You would select the departments once those are created, and then you would select when this has to be done. So arrival, departure date, or for today. And so this would probably be for arrival date, and you probably want to do that before check-in, so probably maybe around 1 o'clock. Another example could be if you have some kind of lockers for storage, and people have a key for that, you could say, for example, give back key deposit to customer. And that would be something that you're probably doing on the departure date, and that would probably be around departing time. Now, when you are creating these templates, and this is exactly the same as a feature as we know it, of course, in the PMS itself, on a hotel level, I can then create the action template and we can then see here what happens next. So we can see that we'll check each property to make sure that they have an action, and in the properties that don't have it, we will create it. And if they do have it, then I lost my train of thought there. And when the property has this action, and we'll activate it for all. So basically, it'll take over and you won't be able to deactivate that. So when I activate the action, like we are used to, we can see this sync. This will then go out to all those properties in the multi-property config. And once it is active, we will see that here. And I would also be able to deactivate that. I can create additional templates here, edit it from here. And when I have a couple of actions in there, I can even use the search functionality over here. For the multi-property dashboard, The sort order for the properties is now according to their name, the display name, or the alternate name that is filled in the hotel details. We can see that filter for A to Z and Z to A right over here. All right, then there is some last bit of information that is going to be relating to integrations. There's one that I'm actually able to show you. So the Rate Tiger CRS integration can now send room type, rate, and house hierarchy restrictions. It is important to note that these hierarchy restrictions do need to be enabled by Stayntouch support if they have not been enabled for you. And if this is something that you want to work with, all of the restrictions that you currently have set need to be removed before this gets activated. So please make sure that we schedule that together accordingly. In our menu under integrations and CRS, we can find our rate tiger. And here, when this would be active, we can see that we can now also sync the option of hierarchy restrictions to the CRS. Then the information that would be relevant more for integration partners. This is not something that I have an example for, is going to be enhanced charge code mapping for API integration in terms of ledgers. We can see the information listed here, and we have Connect API, Fetch Direct Bill Invoice by date, and Connect API Revenue by Ledger for past dates. The API specs that you can find on the website have been updated with full details of this endpoint for both of these options over here. And if there's any information that is needed, you can feel free to reach out to support and we can connect you with our integrations department for further information. All right, those were all the items that I wanted to cover today.
Great. Thank you so much, Natasha. I'd now like to turn over the floor for questions. Remember, you can submit questions through the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So I will give everyone a few seconds to enter any questions. Felita, I see you raised a hand. If you have a question, you can enter questions at the bottom of the screen in the Q&A box. I see a question from Jax. Deposits to routed bills, can this be applied to group accounts as well?
At the moment, this is for virtual credit cards, for TA or company cards. And on a reservation, I guess if you would have a company card associated with your group, you would be able to use that as such, but probably not in the way that you are looking to use that, no.
Okay. And then Heather asked, when do you anticipate the bill routing feature for virtual credit cards to go live or out of pilot?
I believe that if everything goes according to plan, that would be after the next 2 weeks.
All right. And then Felita asks, can you show me how to send the direct billing again?
The direct billing. Is that the routing you mean?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So that option first is under hotel and staff and settings and parameters. We turn on the collect deposit for routed bills. By enabling this here, we will then get that auto charge for day of arrival on the company or travel agent card as option. So this is step number 1 here. And then we go into the menu under revenue management and company and TA cards. You are going to find the TA or company card that you want to set the virtual credit card routing for. And then under billing info, you would fill in the name of the virtual card. And once you've filled in the name of the virtual card, the option here for auto charge on day of arrival is going to show. If you're looking to know what all the different names are for the virtual cards, we have a great documentation actually on this that might be good to highlight here as well, especially considering this is going to be quite a hot topic, I assume. So under our virtual credit card handling, this is what the document is called on our help desk. You can find how to set up the normal routing. This doesn't include that auto charge option yet. And here we can find all the different names for channels that we have at the moment. So we can see Expedia here, we can see Booking.com here. So these are the names that you're going to want to add for that virtual credit card. And once that name is added, we can then select auto charge on day of arrival. So anytime this card gets used and there is a virtual credit card with this name, the routing is automatically going to be set up for room only in the virtual card. And then on the day of arrival, you will auto charge that for you.
Great, thank you. And then Alfred asked, with regards to the registration card, when it is printed and we can hide the rates, is there a way to avoid the dates from coming up individually to reduce the number of pages for long stays?
Oh, so I assume that is for the normal registration card and not for the digital registration card, because the digital registration card does hide those days. You can actually expand it when you are showing a customer. For the normal registration card, there's not a way to collapse that, basically.
Okay. I don't see any other questions right now, so I'll give everyone a few more moments to enter any questions. All right, since there are no more questions, I'll switch back to my screen.
Thank you, Erin.
Yep, thank you. Hang on 1 second. All right, so today we reviewed the following enhancements: merge guest cards with active reservations, the unified nationality export for Austria and Germany, clickable groups in the manager daily report, cancellation time added to the cancellation and no-show report, the inclusion of external reference numbers in the Onyx commission export, the restriction on removing groups from past reservations, the allowances update to restrict moving overage charges to another reservation, auto charge routed deposits, the upgraded credit card transaction screen, the change to the dry folder name, Swiss registration card requirements, the option to view digital registration cards after signature completion or check-in, multi-property enhancements, Great Tiger CRS updates, as well as Connect API enhancements. With that, I'd like to conclude our presentation. Thank you all for coming, and if you have any additional questions, feel free to email me at erin.fisher@stayntouch.com. Thanks again.